Okay, so for me it all happened in 2007 when I was passing out of NITI. I joined investment banking companies. I was into equity research largely. So when I interacted with a lot of my seniors, the analysts who were present, some of them had the CFA charter, and there were things that probably were not covered up in the MBA syllabus that I had. So I thought somewhere or the other I should get more guidance about the investment industry as such. So then the idea came of probably enrolling for the CFA program, and that is typically how it all started for me. So the benefit was it was like a tailor-made course for me. If you look at the investment analysis industry, CFA itself is the entire program helps you do a lot in equity research or maybe in fixed income research or whichever security. For me it was equity research because I was already employed with CRISIL and Credit Suisse. So it all gelled well for me. If one is looking at investments as a key interest area. Okay, so in finance maybe we can divide things into taxation, we can divide things into corporate finance, and then there are investment requirements of companies. So if investments is what excites you, is what ignites that interest in you, then probably CFA becomes a tailor-made program for it. If that interests you, then typically one should proceed to CFA as a career, because CFA is a segue to all the investment analysis irrespective of the asset classes. Whereas if I am interested more in, say, taxation or in the auditing part of it, then CFA is not a program which is going to help you understand that. So then the right or relevant program is CA. Or if I want to be a generalist or typically into management stuff or so, then you can do an MBA. Basic difference that I feel for students would be CFA is a content-oriented investment analysis program, whereas MBA is a far more generalized program. It's not a content program. It just helps you understand different trades of a business. And CA, I would say, is more focused towards accounting, taxation, which is basically record keeping or the past details. CFA essentially would be into most of investment side of it. So student has to figure out whether he is interested or not, and then take a decision to invest in, to spend his time in CFA as a program. And if he is interested, then the level of difficulty is absolutely not going to matter, because the course will help him learn so much that he will feel so good about learning so many things and relating them to the actual markets that I think the level of difficulty will absolutely not matter itself. So I'm clearly not on the side of clearing a level 1 and getting a job and just getting done with it, because I don't think that way we will even be able to clear the level 1. Okay, so the interest should not be to the extent of level 1. The interest should be to the extent of the knowledge that the program will deliver and you will grasp, and that is typically what I think is the crux factor here. So if somebody is convinced of that fact, then I don't think he's going to stop at level 1. Okay, from the industry perspective or practical application perspective, if you ask, then probably the level 2 is what I will say is a must for candidates, because by the time you go to CFA level 2, the second level itself gives you much more in-depth knowledge about every asset class, and one can take a call whether they should want to proceed to level 3 or not, because level 3 is more into portfolio level work, where the institute expects that you understand each asset class in as much detail. And if I'm working as an equity analyst, probably I'm not much aware of what happens in the derivatives desk or what happens in the fixed income desk. So maybe I might take a call whether I would actually want to do the level 3 or not, because relating practically to what is happening in a fixed income desk for an equity analyst may not be that easy, because within investment banks there are firewalls, you're not allowed to actually barge into other asset class desks. So probably it will become difficult to relate unless you have an aim of portfolio management where the level 3 becomes an absolute must. But as in today, when we are running our own fund, I see whatever I have studied in the level 3, 100% is what I apply in my practical life. So if you are aiming for a career in the fund industry, more from the buy side of perspective, then probably level 3 becomes a must, as in there is no substitute, but you should have a charter. If you are looking at it from a sell side, typically at the equity research level or at a fixed income desk or at a derivatives desk, then probably a level 2 should suffice. Level 1 is a strict no, obviously. For no student, it will be an advice from my end that you should not aim for CFA level 1 and take up a job. What you can do is you can start the CFA career, do the level 1, get a job, and progress immediately to level 2 without stopping there. So the benefit, I would say, from an industry perspective is, if a candidate comes to me and says that I am done with CFA level 1, then I know the grind he has gone through, I know what he knows, and I also know that the person is interested and has made an effort by clearing the level 1. So that is something that will help me decide to take a potential candidate, saying that okay, fine, this person can be recruited. But at no point, as an industry person, I will expect that he should stop there, because not that knowledge level is less in level 1. The knowledge level is good, as in from the applications perspective, probably you get as in the candidate will be quite well versed with a lot of things. But doing a level 2 is important. Otherwise, asset classes, pricing details will never be known to the candidate. And it's not just about the job, right? It's about creating value at every employee level, at every person's level. So the value creation, I think, will need him to not stop at level 1, but march ahead to level 2 and maybe do level 3 and get a charter. If he has a charter additionally at a company's level, I get the benefit to, as a company, we get a benefit to probably sell the charter better. We get a benefit to showcase the charter to our clients and get more work from them, or just show them that we have trained resources and people who are interested, because I don't think people who are not interested will end up getting, not many people who are not interested will get a charter. So those who got a charter, we can safely assume that most of them are interested in the investment analysis. Maybe that is what I will say. Typically for somebody who has his own business which is not in the finance domain, as in which does not deal with investments in particular. Somebody who wants to start up on his own. So I'm not very sure whether people want to get started or develop a startup in the finance investments domain or not. So let me bifurcate the question into two parts: a startup which is into the investments domain and a startup which is not into the investments domain. So what I mean by that is, if I'm in the investments domain, that means I'm trying to create a fund. CFA is a must, and as such it will give you that confidence to invest in asset classes that you will probably be able to develop a fund out of it. So if you see how hedge funds or say investment companies get made in the abroad, is people with relevant experience and knowledge of handling money end up showcasing themselves to the clients, and the clients basically bet their money on the person more and his investment philosophy or investment process, and that's how typically a fund gets started, and then probably it blooms into, who knows, someday a quantum fund which Mr. Soros has. So that is one, to start up for startups who will start in investment domain. And for startups which may not start in the investment domain, typically you can say the e-commerce startups or any other startup for that matter. So for them, again, the charter, having the charter will, one, help you understand finance better, more so from the investments perspective. But at a startup level, if I'm in the non-finance domain or non-investments domain, and this applies to that A point also, whoever has a existing business and would want to do a charter, for him, apart from doing a CFA, which is where investments can be analyzed, he should also look at some more understanding of taxation and accounting. Because at a startup level, probably the taxation and accounting will, as areas of expertise, can help him take investment decisions as well as operational decisions better. At CFA, we probably never go too much into details of the accounting or record keeping process. So also with taxation. So some of these things probably at a startup level or for running a company, I would say these are also important inputs that you will need. As a fresher, I would say if I have say level 1, level 2, and if I get into the investment banking companies, it might be in any of the subdomains, which can be equity research, or it can be the proprietary trading desk, brokerage arm of it, or the project financing arm of it. So I largely look at it from these four domains, and equity research I would further bifurcate into broking and M&A IPO activity. So which is what you call as an investment banking analyst, the junior most position that one starts with. So the charter or the level 3, maybe the level 2, should help you get into tier 1 or tier 2 brokers, or tier 1 or tier 2 investment banks. So if that happens, then the investment banks themselves have a fairly organized structure of how an individual can climb up the ladder, and the sky is the limit. That is the ultimate designation of a CEO, can also be taken up by one of the management associates or one of the financial analysts who starts at the bottom of the pyramid. So I think there's no limit as such. I think you can reach absolutely to the apex position within the companies, within the investment companies, I would say, the investment banking companies, or the fund side. If I look at the fund side, then you can get into the fund side to an extent where you end up becoming the fund manager or probably the owner of the fund. So the charter should help you there as well. Okay. So I'll probably first focus on level 1. So if I'm looking at CFA level 1, we have 10 subjects. The entire paper is quite well organized, and out of the 10 subjects, there are 4 subjects which probably need more attention from the student's perspective, and those are basically the ones which have the highest weightage. So if I am starting my studies, if I am getting prepared for the CFA exam, then I probably have to focus on those 4 topics, which is FRA, that is accounting or financial reporting analysis, quantitative methods, ethics, and fixed income securities. So put together, I think around 58 to 60% weightage of the entire level 1 exam is on these 4 topics. Remaining 40% is divided amongst all the other 6 topics that are present in the syllabus. So if I am able to probably push my score beyond say 70% in all these in these 4 topics, then it should help me sail through the level 1. Now how do I push my score beyond 70% in this? So the first thing I should probably do as a student is I should go through the course material, and the CFA course material is second to none. The best available content in the finance industry for each topic is contained in that CFA course material. So go through the CFA course material, try to understand the concepts, because the exam questions will not be a direct formula substitution question or something that you need to remember. The exam is all application oriented, so there will be conceptual questions based on the logic that is presented in the course material, or the numerical questions will also be based on the logic that is presented in the course material. So go through the course material, they will understand the concepts, and practice some examples. At least one should practice around 20-30 examples on each topic that is being given. So if I am looking at around 67 to 68 study sessions, let's take a round figure of 70, and if I am studying 20 to 30 examples of each, so I am basically solving around 1500 to 2000 examples. So I think that should help us clear through the level 1 exam. Before the exam, one should write the mocks. Okay, all the 3 mock, 1 to 2 mocks, or probably 3 mock sessions or mock examinations will be beneficial, because students probably will be able to understand how to approach the examination, see if their time is right or not, and they don't exceed time, and also they get a flavor of writing an exam for 6 hours. Level 2 and level 3 are probably a slightly different ball game as compared to the level 1. The first thing that changes in level 2 is the question types itself is different, which is a vignette based or a paragraph based or a case based analysis. So from the test taker's perspective, it is great, because you feel as an analyst, and the problems that are being posed in front of you are like what actual analysts face. So level 2, that way the exam pattern is not as organized as level 1. Whereas in level 1, the section 1 and section 2 has a defined method in which the questions will be asked. Level 2 is not likewise. You have to answer as per the vignettes, and some of the subjects might get tested in the morning paper, some of them might get tested in the afternoon paper. So I think the approach pattern for level 2 will be one to first study, as I said, study the course material, solve as many cases as possible, and focus on typical topics in FRA and equity investments. The highest weightage again for level 2 is in between equity and FRA. So I think around 55%, 45 to 55% will get covered in of the entire level 2 exam in just 2 sections, which is FRA and equity. Apart from that, amongst the tricky topics that one can face in level 2 would be derivatives. It is much more quantitative oriented. A lot of pricing formulae are there, and if you are not from the derivatives trading desk, if you don't have a background there, then you will have to think hard to understand the application of some of those formulae. So derivatives is something that one should focus on in level 2. For level 3, however, I think if I want to approach the exam or the studies per se, I need an expertise or an understanding of how different asset classes work basically. So I might be from the equities domain, so it becomes a little difficult to imagine how a fixed income domain might be working or how a derivatives desk might be working. So the course content again, or the course material given by the CFA is up to the mark in, I would say, for level 3 also. So you go through the course content, you understand the asset classes, and then look at it more from a fund manager's perspective. For level 2, you have to look at it more from an analyst perspective. For level 3, you have to look at it more from the fund's perspective. So you have to look at it at a fund level and understand how that asset class is helping you structure a portfolio, or how each subject is helping you structure the portfolio. And the syllabus is also organized in such a way that it starts with ethics and it ends with performance attribution analysis, which is, it will start with ethics, it will then help you recap most of your concepts that you studied in level 1 and 2 in different asset classes. It might be fixed income, it might be economics, it might be equity, derivatives. Then the entire syllabus looks at risk management perspective, how the risk related to these asset classes can be handled. Then construction of a portfolio. Once the portfolio is done, then taking the trades and actually executing the trades, that is being discussed. And ultimately it discusses about the evaluation of your portfolio, which is the attribution analysis which is done at the end, and then how to present your performance in the form of Global Investment Performance Standards, GIPS. So that is how the level 3 syllabus actually gives you entire flavor of how a fund will operate. If you are running your own fund, then you understand that this is what I have to do to run a fund. So look at it from a fund's perspective and then approach the examination for level 3. For the morning paper, I would say practice a little of writing answers, because we are not much used to structuring and writing our answers these days. Probably it's because of the exam pattern or the way multiple choice exams are being structured. So some time needs to be spent, so a couple of marks will help there. And the paper pattern is such that in 3 hours you have to probably fill up a workbook which will be 70 to 80 pages. So as much you will generally write. So you need to be crisp, you need to be able to answer all those 13-14 questions with sub questions, almost 3 sub questions each. So I would say 40 to 43 sub questions is what you will answer in 3 hours. So writing the paper will be something that will need some effort for level 3 morning section. Afternoon section is just like level 2. So the same techniques can be second section of level 3. I would say one should approach Proschool because Proschool helps you learn the skills and apply them, and most of the skills basically are developed by industry experts, so that these are the actual practical things that you do in your job or so. So learning those skills hands-on is what I would say would typically be the USP of Proschool.